Hi, I'm Chef Gail Sokol and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making biscotti, and this is a chocolate salted almond biscotti, and it's one of my favorites. You can dip it into a big thing of espresso or milk or hot chocolate, or just crush it up over some ice cream, or just nosh them on your own like a snack. I love them. You can drizzle them with chocolate or you can leave them plain. They're one of my favorite and they're so easy to make. So before we get started, I'd like you to click that notification button because I want you to be a subscriber. I don't want you to miss any of my tips or videos. So push that button. All right, here we are, and we are going to have 2 bowls, dry ingredients, wet ingredients, no mixer, nothing like that, no mixer, we don't have to worry about it. We've preheated our oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to let that really preheat for quite a while. These do not take that long to bake, and once you divide them up and put them in, they're super easy to make. So once you put them in, you're going to bake them for about 35 minutes. I usually go for when they get a little crackled on the outside. I had to look to make sure because there's a lot of ingredients in here. Okay, so the first thing I did was in a food processor, and I didn't think you needed to see that, I took 3/4 cup of salted whole almonds, and those are natural almonds. They have the skin on them. If you don't like the skin, leave them off. Get the ones without the skins, but I love them. I love the extra fiber. I love the nutty flavor that the skins provide, and I love the color that it provides. So I ground this in the food processor, 3/4 cup of almonds, and you never want to put almonds or nuts in the food processor unless you have something to sort of absorb that oil, or you're going to end up with almond butter, all right, which is a whole other ball of wax. So what I did was I added some sugar, 1 1/4 cups of granulated sugar into my food processor with my 3/4 cup of almonds, and I got this beautiful almond and sugar concoction, just sort of like a powdery yumminess, all right? So in a big bowl, because that's what we're going to mix it in, a big bowl, we're going to whisk some dry ingredients, and here I have 1 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2/3 of a cup of regular cocoa powder. So this is unsweetened cocoa powder. It's not Dutched. It's not, alkalized. It is regular unsweetened cocoa powder that like you would find in the grocery store, no problem. This is 2 teaspoons of baking powder because we need something to help them rise. We have 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Sometimes I leave the salt out because the almonds are salted, but here I'm going to put them in because I really like that just a little extra hint of salt. So I'm going to whisk it up. And you really want to get that cocoa and those chemical leaveners completely blended in. And my oven has been preheating for about 15 minutes because I really want it hot when I put my biscotti in. These are going to make like 2 logs of biscotti. They make about 2 to 2.5 dozen, depending on how thick you make them and how long you make your logs. I like them long and I like them big. All right, so once I whisk this up, we are going to add our ground almond and sugar mixture. Okay. I'm going to whisk that up again. All right. Going to whisk that up again. And then we're going to add miniature chocolate chips, not big ones, not the normal size semi-sweet chocolate chips. I have minis. And the reason is we have to cut the biscotti. So once it's baked in logs, we're going to cut them crosswise. And I really want to make sure that they cut cleanly. So we are going to put some mini chocolate chips in here. And I have about a cup. If you want to use the whole ones, you can, but your biscotti may crumble a little bit. And then 3/4 cup of salted with the skin roasted almonds. And yes, these are whole. Couldn't the biscotti break when I cut these? Because the almonds, right? Okay, good question. I hear your questions. I hear them. Yes, but If you bake your biscotti properly, I love the cross section of an almond in a biscotti. I love it. I just like, it's like a Picasso painting to me. I love it. I love the way it looks. I don't want the chocolate to be obvious because the chocolate will semi-melt in there because it's sort of a double chocolate with the cocoa powder and the mini chips, so I like that. All right, so once this is done, set your dry ingredients aside, and now it's time for the wet. So I have 3 whole eggs, and I have another egg that I beat up that I'm actually going to use to egg wash our readied logs. We're going to make 2 big logs. In with the eggs, I have 1 tablespoon plus a teaspoon of almond extract because we really want that kick of almond. Like, wow, almond. This says chocolate and almond. I really want a high flavor profile. And then we have 2 tablespoons of oil. So if you notice, it's really not that unhealthy, a biscotti. There's no butter in it. I'm going to just break up my eggs and whisk it up. Now, the one thing that I always notice with this particular biscotti, and I've made it numerous times, is sometimes it needs a little extra moisture. So I do have a little bit of extra water just in case. You don't want your biscotti to be, your dough to be very, very mushy and thin. You want it to hold up on its own. It's biscotti dough. It's got to have some strength, okay? But if it's too crumbly and not all the ingredients are blended in, we do have to add a little more water. No big deal. We'll just do it. So I'm going to mix this in here. All right. And if I see that it is too dry, we'll just do what I said, and that is to add a little more water. So you can, there's lumps and bumps because we do have the whole almonds. We have the mini chips. And I can see it's like a little dry, but it's, keep going. Don't get excited yet. And when you do add any moisture, and I usually would add water, you don't want it to be a very, very like a squishy biscotti. You want some bite to it, so I would add water and not milk or cream because it's not something that you want it to have a little structure. All right, so I've mixed all the flour and a little extra water in there. If it does get wet, you can always add a little bit more flour. I'm going to halve it, just eyeball it. Okay, and remember you have an oiled sheet pan. I'm going to lift this up, put it on top of my oiled sheet pan. Whoops. Just make sure you have about half. I think I took maybe a little too much. And now what you're going to do with your hands, remember it's oiled on the sheet pan. That's why I don't like parchment. We are going to shape our caterpillar. So I call it a caterpillar because that's what it looks like. So you're going to push, 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 sort of like boop, 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 boop. Sort of like you do with your, with clay. And you're going to push it the length. If it's, you want it a little bit longer or you have biscotti that's a little bit longer, you can always angle it diagonally. And I'm going to push this until you have sort of a long, narrow, almost a 12-inch long log, okay, or a caterpillar, whatever you want to call it. And then you're going to push, push, push your caterpillar, flatten your caterpillar. Flatten your caterpillar. You see that? And that's going to puff up and spread out even more. So you're going to press it. And you don't want to quite get to the edges because it will spread out to the edges. Remember, we're going to twice bake this once it comes out of the oven. So I'm going to push it, push it, push it. Okay? Push, 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 push. And then you're going to do the same with the other one. And now I'm going to egg wash this and put it into my 325 degree oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. It should puff up, should look like a swollen caterpillar and be sort of crackled and nice and brown. Not just the cocoa powder, but it should look brown. All right, and it should feel firm. And then you're going to take it out and let it cool so that we can slice it and bake it again for biscotti. So 35 to 40 minutes at 325. See you back. Now my chocolate salted almond biscotti came out of the oven. I let it cool. It's lovely, and you can see it's beautiful and it's spread out. And I cut it in half on the diagonal, and you can see the whole almonds inside. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting about 1/2 inch, 1/4 to 1/2 inch slices. And what I'm doing is putting them straight down, not on their sides like most biscotti recipes tell you to do. I am putting them standing upright so I can toast both sides at once. I don't want to go back in the oven 2 times. So I've maintained my oven temperature at 325, and I want to get them nice and crunchy now. So they're going to go back in for about 20 minutes until both sides here that are exposed feel dry and firm, and they will dry and firm up as they cool. And then we're going to drizzle them with white chocolate. So my chocolate salted almond biscotti just got twice baked, so they are officially biscotti. And I have melted some white chocolate. You can do dark chocolate, you can do any type of chocolate you want, milk, semi-sweet, but I think the white and the black contrast is awesome. I'm all about contrast. So I'm going to leave them standing up. If you want, you can put them on their sides. And I'm just going to drizzle. Just going to drizzle away. Oh, pretty. And then you're just going to let them firm up. And you're just going to let them, the chocolate harden on top. And then you can chow down on these gorgeous babies. Oh my goodness, so they look gorgeous. Oh, I like that. I like going vertical and horizontal and every which way. They look so good. Look at this. Awesome. Look at them. Oh, wow. So let them harden because they'll actually package better if you want to bring them to a friend's house, if you want to mail them to someone's house. Make sure you use compound chocolate, the chocolate that has vegetable oil in it instead of real cocoa butter, because it will actually stay firm at room temperature. Or you can actually temper your chocolate, which is a little bit of an ordeal. Look how gorgeous. So we are ready to display our biscotti. Aren't they outstanding? You've got to make these. They're easy, they're simple, and they're spectacular. I hope you become a subscriber. Till next time.